Should I stay or should I go?
Namaste! Right here on the Headless Hammerhead Guide to Comics and More. Today we have a very special video. We're going to be discussing the ever popular karma. It is one of the most versatile elements of the Marvel Multiverse Role-playing Game, and we're going to be discussing how it works per the rules, what some of the homebrew options will be, and how it can be used to fix some of the inherent problems with combat and other mechanics outside of combat. So let's get right to it.
Come on.
Karma is a belief in Hinduism and Buddhism that whatever you do, good or bad, has a bearing on what happens to you or around you in the future. And this is no different in the Marvel Multiverse Role-playing Game. So, based on the rules, karma is they call it a wild mix of luck, grit, and destiny that seems to intervene in the lives of heroes. So, the way that you start with karma as far as your hero, it's equal to your rank. So at rank 1, you start with 1 karma. At 5th rank, you start with 5. To be considered a hero, your character has to have the tag of heroic. So if you're playing as a hero, you most likely will have the heroic tag. Now, the way that karma works currently in this system is it can be used, you use a karma point to, whenever you make an action check, it gives you an edge on that check. That means you get an extra roll of one of the dice, and you can pick the better of the 2 results. So in other words, it's kind of like an advantage in other games where you roll and you pick the better result of 2 dice. But this is pretty good because you can re-roll either your lowest dice, or you can choose to fish for a fantastic roll and re-roll your Marvel dice even if it's not your lowest result. Karma can also be used the opposite way and be used to give trouble to a villain on one of their rolls. So it can be projected onto somebody else as well and give them trouble on their roll, which is actually a really cool thing too. A limitation is you can't use more than 1 point of karma on any given roll or action check, and karma resets every time your character goes to bed and gets a full night's rest. And basically, if you've at 0 karma, you wake up the next day with your current rank amount in karma. In its current iteration, karma can also be used to recover both HP and focus points. So for health, you basically make a resilience check with a target number 10. For focus recovery, you make a vigilance check with also a target number of 10. If you get a success, you total up the Marvel dice times rank, and that's how much you recover. If you get a fantastic success, then you double the amount recovered. You can't use an additional karma point to re-roll whatever roll you made, and keeping with the theme of projecting karma onto someone else, you can actually use karma to help a teammate recover. So you spend your karma point to get them to recover health or HP or focus. So how to earn karma, you can see here, other than your starting karma, you can earn it by doing good deeds, role-playing the character perfectly, if the character rescues someone or goes out of their way, or they do an inspiring speech, screams out their catchphrase, or one of their challenging traits comes into play and they overcome it in some way. Now, the character can accumulate karma and go beyond what their max karma or what their starting karma was. So if you're a rank 1, you can earn enough karma and have 100 if you'd like. But your karma resets when you have a night's rest. So you start then back again at 1 if you're rank 1. Villains and non-heroes can also earn karma the same way that heroes do, by doing heroic acts. We'll talk about this in a little bit, but villains also have the additional opportunity for karma by monologuing. This is at the end of the book. It's the last thing that's discussed in this core rule book, but the villain can do a monologue and earn some karma for doing so. although they won't earn it if they are interrupted by the heroes. So in the Marvel Multiverse Role-playing Game, karma is a game changer. If you're familiar with Pathfinder 2nd Edition, you're familiar with hero points. There's a couple of other game systems that use something similar. Some have what are called adversity points, things like that. So it's not a new concept per se, but it was used in the original Marvel game from the 90s, from the 80s and 90s, where karma was used for doing feats and a bunch of other things. And you could actually accumulate karma up to an unlimited amount, and you could carry it over the course of many days. It didn't reset when you had a rest. So here's my proposal for some things that could help fix a lot of the problems with combat and gameplay in general, and also make karma even more important in the game, while also allowing for some fun, because we are limited to 6 ranks. So you're going to be ranking up very rarely, if at all. Some narrators are just not going to allow for ranking up at all. It's just going to be straight play. So karma allows you an opportunity, if you're able to accumulate it, to do some amazing feats and other things that basically feel like a power up for your character. So here's how I am going to homebrew this, and maybe you can take some tips from here and implement some of it or all of it in your campaign, or just keep it as it is and just remember that players will be very excited whenever they earn karma, because it's like a bonus. It's like winning kind of a scratch off. You win a free ticket or a couple of bucks. That's what it kind of makes you feel like. So I think it's a great thing to use in your campaign. It's really important that you don't forget to hand out karma, to give out karma and award it to the players when they earn it. So because they love this concept, trust me. So let's say your hero, the Walker, is a hero who he's a street level hero, and he just loves to walk old ladies across the street. And that is his thing, that is his jam. And he's earning karma for doing all of this. But, when it comes to battle, yeah, he's part of a team. Generally, he kind of stands back and works on helping the civilians. And he gets them out of the way of trouble, out of danger, things like that. So, the way karma is currently used, it would be of no use to him, because karma is mainly used for action checks in combat, or for recovering health or focus, and he doesn't really need to do any of these things. So we need to find a way for him to find use for all this karma that he's earning. So my proposal is to allow the use of karma to provide an edge on initiative, which for somebody who rescuing civilians, that's huge. Boost movement, which again, they get a burst of adrenaline thanks to their karma, and they get a boost on their movement so that they can help move the civilians out of the way. It could also help to reduce focus costs of certain abilities. So if there's an ability like one of the weather ones that have a focus cost, he can use the karma to reduce the cost of the focus on that ability or power. Skulk, I spoke about on another video. It's a broken mechanic, and I think that having a karma cost for skulking is also pretty viable, because, well, thematically, you wouldn't be heroic if you're shoving somebody in the way of a bullet that's aimed at you. So that in itself should constitute a loss of karma, right? Another way to use karma is to do feats. So for example, if you have energy blast, you want to try to angle it and bounce it off of the wall or off of Cap's shield to hit 2 people or whatever. You can use the karma to do those kinds of feats. Or for example, if you have one of the weather control powers, right now they're mainly just for flavor, but you can use it to, hey, I'm going to use the weather control power, weather control 1 or 2, to use some winds to pick up the car or to push the civilian out of the way of something. And that's a feat that you can do with a power and utilize karma for that. For example, another one would be if you have invisibility and you're trying to walk through and sneak into the enemy base, you can use a feat of making your footprint invisible so that you are not only invisible yourself, but your footprints are invisible, and now you're less likely to be detected. Also, it could be used maybe to extend the range of a certain power. So if you're firing, you're too far, you're Hawkeye and you're shooting an arrow, and you're just too far to reach, then you use some karma just to pull that string back a little bit farther and shoot it maybe an extra 3-4 spaces. And finally, another way that karma could be used is a stroke of luck. So during role-playing outside of combat, for example, something's going down where there's a bank robbery or whatever, they can expend some karma, and by maybe there's a chance that the cops just happen to arrive, or the boulder is falling down the mountain and your heroes aren't close enough to save the civilian, but they spend some karma and somehow something happens, a bird flies towards the boulder and knocks it off course just enough to allow the civilian to go unscathed. So villains and non-heroes also need another way to earn karma other than heroic deeds. Villains have their monologue, but I think they should be able to earn karma with something like setting a death trap, or escaping the heroes, or even their plot, executing a plot successfully in some way. I think these are good ways for a villain to earn karma. Maybe they found some new henchmen and were able to hire some henchmen. They get some karma for that they can use. Another thing for the villains that can help fix some of the combat mechanic failures is you grant the villain a karma point equal to the number of player characters in the battle, and this would allow them to recover health and focus points relative to the number of characters that are up against them. So this would be another way. So the core rulebook does not explain how spending karma works, whether it takes an action, a reaction, etc. So how it works during combat or whatever. For me, I would use karma as a free action where it doesn't take up a standard action or a combat action or movement or a reaction. It is just a free action to spend the karma to regain your HP, your focus, or for the villain themselves to regain these things as well. Could also maybe be used for damage reduction. Rather than healing the 30, it's kind of the same thing, but rather than healing the HP or the focus points, they instead prevent 30 damage or whatever amount of damage based on their roll from each attack. So currently the only way to reduce the karma that you have, other than going to sleep, is to use it. So to keep heroes from cutting corners and keep them heroic, keep them from doing something unbecoming of a hero, we should have something that helps them to lose karma other than using it. So for example, if a hero gets bad publicity, I think that should cost them a karma point. If they fail somehow in their occupation and their duties, they stop showing up for work, lose some karma. If they steal or commit a crime just to help themselves resolve an issue and they're doing it the easy way by stealing or committing a crime, they should be losing a little bit more karma, maybe 2 karma points. If they cause a death or fail to prevent somebody's death, for example, if Superbat is helping an old lady cross the road and he puts her in the way of danger and he didn't look both ways and the car ends up hitting both of them, he caused her death or injury, they should lose maybe half his karma. And if he actually kills somebody with his super batarang, then he should be losing all his karma. This comes from the old Marvel version of the game, and I think it's also a good mechanic to have for karma that adds a little bit more of an edge and keeps your heroes from doing something bad, and if they do something bad, it has some serious consequence. Finally is the idea of karma resetting every night when you take a rest. I think that using this homebrew version of karma that I've presented here would call for karma to be banked an unlimited amount of time. So I think characters should be able to build up karma based on their good deeds, have it carry over several days and use it as needed, maybe build it up for something major, for a big battle, and use it there during the big battle. And then when they go to sleep, nothing happens. They just keep the same karma and then just keep building it and losing it as they go along through their adventures. So I think this would be also good mechanic to do or to have in place. And so ends another issue of the Headless Hammerhead Guide to Comics and More. I'd like to thank you for hitting that like, hitting the subscribe, leaving a comment, and hitting that notification bell. It helps me out quite a bit. I'm loving your feedback, your comments. I try to respond within minutes if I can. Send me an email if you have questions, headlesshammerhead@gmail.com. And here's a couple announcements. Some really cool stuff coming up. A real big surprise coming this week for you guys. I'll make a short to announce it. And then we have some contests that are coming up soon too, based on the number of subscribers I get. I'm building it up little by little, but once I get to a certain level, I will do some giveaways that I think you guys will really love. So please stick with me and leave a comment. Let me know what you'd like to see next in my videos. I'm churning out videos as quickly as I can. There's a lot to talk about with the Marvel Multiverse Role-playing Game, but there's other topics I can discuss as well, even not related to this game. Comics in general or pop culture as well. Also, check out my store, dangerouswaterscomics.com. That's Dangerous Waters with an S, comics with an S.com. There you'll be able to find everything Marvel Multiverse Role-playing Game related. You can buy all the books there. You can buy some dice. You can pre-order books that haven't come out yet that are announced and upcoming. There's a ultimate pack that saves you quite a bit of money, and also you can find some comic books and other pop culture stuff that you might enjoy, such as toys. So please visit my website. Let me know what you think. Send me an email, leave a comment, and remember,
we don't bite here.